Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood can change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. So, I thought it'd be good to talk more about the changes of marriage after you become parents. It's been a while since I've done this, and I thought, hey, it'd be kind of fun to do a series on all the ways that marriage can change. And if you're already parents, no worries. You will find something here that will be helpful to you. Whether it's feeling like, oh, we're not weird. All the things we're experiencing are totally normal, and walk away with some insight and some helpful direction to change that. So today I'm going to be going into just how partnership, which is such a vital aspect in marriage, changes after you become parents. Now, partnership before you have kids is very different than what we look for and come to expect after you become parents. So let's explore that a little bit. Before you have kids, partnership looks like, hey, do we make decisions together? Do you consult with me on big, important matters? Are you helpful to me? Do I feel like we're in this together? While that's still true after you're parents, the degree of what we look for in partners is a lot less than what we are wanting when it comes to being partners as parents, right? Our expectations are lower, mostly because we just don't know what we don't know, right? It's like, you know how they say you can never be fully ready to be parents? And I definitely believe that. It's kind of like expecting to know how parenting works just from reading a book. But if you're already a parent, you know that you can throw that book out the window. Because it's like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar, but dealing with it in real life, in real time, is way different. And you can never be fully ready. And when it comes to partnership, after you become parents, there's a lot more elements that come into play, like who's gonna do what? The specificity of it all gets to be way more granular. Whereas before it's like, yeah, oh, I'll do this and you'll do that. But when it comes to the actual reality of it all, after the kids come, or even if you just have one, it becomes even more important to define roles. What stance do you have when it comes to who does what? Are you more traditional or are you more non-traditional? And what stance does your partner have? These are important things to know beforehand, but a lot of people don't discover this until after. Because who talks about this when they're dating, right? I mean, I'm hoping that this whole thing is changing as the generations become wiser and more conscious and aware when it comes to choosing partners. But when it comes to those who are not so lucky and didn't have parents that taught them or didn't have mentors and guides to teach them, hey, you guys should be talking about this before getting married. You guys should be talking about this before having a baby, right? For those of us who didn't have that, you're likely trying to figure it out in real time while the baby's here, which, as you know, is difficult. You're tired. You just know stuff has to get done. And a lot of times the roles end up just becoming the roles instead of the two of you choosing them. It's kind of like, oh, well, I kind of just one day started doing it and it kind of just stayed my job, right? It's kind of like assumed responsibility. If your partner sees that you're always doing it, it has now become your job. It's like an unsaid agreement. But it is so helpful to know what each person's role is when it comes to that. Like, oh, are you going to be taking care of the kid most of the time because you're going to stay at home? And what is your expectation of your partner once they're off work? Are they aware of that? Or do they think that because they went out to work and they're now home, that they have the rest of the night off because they're the breadwinner? Things like that, right? Is it a super traditional role where it's like, okay, well, the wife, the mom, does all the diaper changes, they do all the clothes shopping, they cook all the meals, they plan all the extracurriculars, and they do this and that, while the husband works on the house, works on the cars, takes out the garbage, pays the bills, right? There are so many things that go into parenting, that go into running a household, and all that needs to be discussed. So if you're happy with how things are right now, cool, leave it alone, right? Don't fix anything that's not broken. But if you're like, wait a minute, I never thought to question this before, I actually don't like doing that thing, then it might be worth exploring having a conversation about, hey, can we kind of divvy this up differently, right? You can approach it with, okay, what are your strong skills? What are my strong skills? Like, let's play to our strengths. And the things that we're not so good at, maybe we delegate out, right? We hire someone to do it. Or maybe we just randomly choose, or we take turns, right? There are so many different ways that you can go about it. But the nice thing is that you guys are working together to decide. And then there isn't that undercurrent of resentment that's flowing through because you're like, I hate doing this. And it kind of just fell on my lap because I saw something that needed to be done and I just start doing it. But really wish we would share this, or I really wish they would take this on, right? Any ounce of resentment we feel needs to be explored. Okay. And I'll tackle that topic of resentment on a different episode. But if there's any ounce, any inkling of resentment, I encourage you to dive into that to understand what it is that you feel resentment about, why you feel resentful about it, where it's coming from, and what it is that you want instead. Explore it, because the thing with resentment, it's like a weed. It will grow and it is resilient in the worst way possible. Any situation where you feel resentment, it will continue to grow the existing resentment. That's just how it works. And you don't want that to grow, because resentment is the number one connection killer. Okay? It is the number one connection killer. So if connection is important to you, which I'm hoping it is, I am begging you to not leave it alone. Don't just sweep it under the rug because you don't have time to explore, because it is already taking up too much of your time. you feeling resentment is going to influence how you interact with your spouse. It's going to negatively impact your desire to want to hang out with them. It's going to negatively impact your desire to connect with them, to be intimate with them, how you communicate with them. It just gets everywhere. Okay. It's like you leave some food out and some ants come, they go tell their friends, and all of a sudden you have like this massive trail. It's like that. So let's nip it in the bud when we notice it and work through it. Okay. Your quality time, your connection, your intimacy, that pre baby is like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We have so much time together. We only have ourselves to think about. We don't have to plan too much, right? We don't have to go find a babysitter. We don't have to coordinate with parents, right? I think it's so funny. There's like this meme where it's like, oh, how did we get back to the point where we have to ask our parents to go out again? I just thought that was so funny. Like, oh, that is so true. But anyway, pre-kids, super easy to arrange a date, right? Maybe you got to work around work schedules and maybe some like hangouts with friends, but it's not about the kids, right? It's like, oh, well, we got to work around the nap time. We got to work around these activities that they got to go to and who's going to watch them. And life just gets busier when you're parents. And then not only do you get busier, you also get more tired. So then there's time and then there's energy. So if you're busy, whether you work or you stay at home, your spouse works or stays at home, right? So there's a syncing up that needs to happen with schedules. And then the kids have things to do, right? Whether it's basketball or swim or dance or, whatever it is that your child is involved with. There's school stuff, there's play dates, there's birthday parties. And then there's the energy, right? It's like, okay, let's wake up at 6, let's get them ready for school. They go to school, we do our thing, whether it's managing the house, whether it's working for someone or working for yourself. And then the kids get home, and then it's like, okay, well, let's hang out with them. Let's make dinner. Let's feed them. Let's get them ready for the next day. And they're in bed, and you're like, damn, I am exhausted. So then you're like, I'd rather hang out in bed next to you, maybe watch a show, maybe do some stuff on my phone, whether it's scroll Instagram, listen to Michelle's podcast. Just kidding, not just kidding. Or you're like, oh, I'd rather read or go to sleep, right? All of these things are so understandable. And I've done that myself from time to time. But if you continue to just wait for the perfect time to go hang out, you wait for the stars to align, it's not going to happen. Then you're going to find yourself to become that couple that hangs out once a year. Maybe it's like your wedding anniversary, or if you celebrate your dating anniversary and you're like, oh, this is so nice. But your marriage needs more than just once a year or twice a year. And if you're like, well, I don't have childcare, neither do I. Okay, neither do I. If you're in that boat like me, that just means you got to get more creative. That just means that you really need to be intentional and prioritize making time, not waiting for the right moment, not waiting for the stars to align, but truly making it a priority. A lot of times with priorities, though, especially as parents, our priorities just become our priorities rather than us choosing our priorities and working around that. So a lot of times parents, and I am guilty of this sometimes, we end up saying that certain things are our priorities, like our health, like our marriage, like quality time with our kids. But when we take a look at how we're spending our time and what we are truly prioritizing, which, by the way, you can tell by breaking down how you spend your days and your weeks, and notice that they don't align. So we say, oh, health is important to me. But how often are you exercising? How often are you being intentional about the food that you're eating? You say your marriage is important, but how much are you prioritizing time together? How much are you prioritizing your own personal growth as a communicator, as someone who's self-aware of what they need, how they feel, so that you can be your best self? You say hanging out with your kids is important, but are you actually spending quality time with them? That might be like a rough wake-up call, but this is what it takes to have the things that you want. Pressing pause on how you're doing life right now and being super intentional about, is the way that I'm living right now, is the way that I have my life scheduled right now aligned with what I say and what I want to be my priority? If the answer is no, then go back to the drawing board and make everything work around your priorities. Now, what does that mean? That means saying, oh, it's important for me to spend time with my husband 2 or 3 times a week, or once a week, every other week, whatever. Then make it happen. Just like if you had a doctor's appointment, you work everything around that, right? If the doctor's like, oh, sorry, your preferred times aren't available, and you're like, wow, I really need to go see this doctor, you will block off your calendar. You will have things work around it. Same thing. Treat it with the same urgency and importance. Because if this is something that you want to prioritize, this is something that is important to you, protect it. Treat it with the same level of prioritization. And same goes for the other things. And then see what you have left and then fill in your stuff, right? So if I have a date with my husband, I'm not going to cram a lot of things before that so that I'm exhausted, unavailable, and just a grump during that date. And also, I just wanted to mention that connecting with your spouse doesn't always have to mean going out on a date, like leaving the home. It could also mean having intentional time together. It doesn't have to be glamorous. It doesn't even have to cost money. It's just you two having a good time together, getting closer, growing together, just protecting that bond by nurturing it and growing it. Now, those are really important aspects that need to be discussed prior to becoming parents. And like I said, if you're not lucky and you didn't have someone say, hey, you should do this, I highly recommend doing this before you become parents. Do it now. It might be a little more challenging because you've each fallen into specific roles and you're like, oh, yeah, we don't hang out very much. I wish we could. Maybe one day, right? Instead of saying maybe one day or, hey, once the kids are fill in the blank, which, by the way, doesn't work unless you're super intentional. But I'll tell you what ends up happening most times is a lot of times people are like, oh, yeah, once the kids go to school, when they're in elementary school or preschool, then we will focus on our marriage. What ends up happening is because they haven't carved out that time, made time, protected it to support their marriage, once they reach that stage, they forget. And what do we do with free time? We fill it, like signing them up for sport, friend dates, and I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. Just more stuff comes in and fills in that place. Maybe you volunteer for something. You find a hobby, which by the way is also important. But either way, something fills in that time. Then you notice, oh yeah, we need to hang out together. And then it becomes this like thing you talk about, but that you don't do. Or you're like, oh, well, we're okay. So let's just wait. And so that finish line keeps moving because we aren't aligned. We're not keeping our promises to ourselves and to the commitment of the marriage. And so it just keeps moving. And so this is how you become one of those couples where the kids are off to college, you have an empty nest, and you look at each other, if you're still married, and you're like, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know how to hang out with you. I don't know if I like you. There is no buffer anymore. The kids are great buffers because they keep us busy, right? They distract us from important matters, whether it's conflict or us not feeling connected as a couple. So then you become co-parenting roommates instead of romantic partners who are also parenting together, because there's a difference, right? So that's why I talk so much about how important it is to keep your vision alive. So with any goal setting, you start with the end in mind. Where are you working towards? And then work your way backwards. But most couples don't do that. They're kind of just flying by the seat of their pants, just like with how we parent, right? But we can't do that with our marriage. So if you want to become that couple who's like old and gray, who are still flirting, have a great time laughing together, have a lot of things in common, still love to hang out together, have wonderful conflict resolution skills, then you got to work towards that. You can't just wait until the perfect time is here. So, what do you need to work on today to be that couple? Because if you don't do that now, you're going to end up looking back and you're like, how did we get here? And it might be too late. And if it's not, you're going to be like, damn, I really wish we worked on this. And if you're hearing me and you're like, yeah, we need to work on this, but I don't know how, then you need to reach out to me. Let's figure out what skills and tools you need to learn to be able to make that goal, that vision that you have, a likely possibility. Let's set you up for success. So if you don't currently feel successful in your marriage, then let's figure it out. Whether it's partnership, communication, some other thing. Let's figure out what is going on so that we can work through that together, so that you have an easier time and you do feel like that partnership you two have is good. It is supportive. And that anytime you have a fight, you don't feel like, damn, our marriage is about to be over. Or maybe you're the kind that avoids fights, right? Either way, you're going to have conflict. So if you're having trouble with communication now, whether it's you don't have kids yet and you're already having trouble with communication, or you do have kids and you have trouble with communication, that doesn't go away until you learn how to fight the right way. Okay? And when I say fight the right way, I actually mean fighting is involved. Not physical, obviously. If that's a situation, that's a different topic, okay? What I'm referring to is arguing, like verbal arguments. Because the way we fight is based on how we know how to communicate. But if the way that you know how to communicate hasn't been working, something needs to change. Communication skills require personal growth, personal awareness, personal responsibility. So you just having more fights and it going the same way over and over again, that's not going to improve. In order for your fights to change, you need to change. Change in how you approach it, change in how you communicate, change in how you view it, change in how you listen, how you respond, how you perceive things. If you're super sensitive and you take offense to everything, that is a growth area. Change in how you observe things. There's a lot to it. This is where it really helps to have a professional help you, because they can pinpoint, okay, did great here. This is an area of growth. And then they can provide different examples for you and help you understand what's going on your side and help you understand what's going on their side, so that your lovely brain, which likes to make a lot of assumptions, sometimes assumptions that don't help us out very much, it helps to work with someone to be able to see things more logically, because our emotions sure like to take over. And sometimes it takes us needing to remind ourselves, hey, that's not what's going on right now. So as you can see, there's a lot of variables that go into how your relationship can change after you have kids. And it's so important to be able to be on the same page with your partner going forward. So, like I said, whether you don't have kids yet and you're pregnant, or you're planning to have kids, or you already have kids, this is all very important to do. Establish roles, talk about your expectations, talk about your standards, have it be a two-way conversation where it's open. Share your goals, share your values, talk about how you want to parent, talk about what is important to you for your kids, talk about how you're going to keep your marriage at the forefront. We're not putting it on the back burner, okay? Because when we do that, that makes parenting really hard because you don't feel connected as a couple. And your kids are going to sense that. So make time for each other, whether it's little moments of connection, which I call micro connection, and then sprinkle in some macro connection, some date nights at home or out, some day dates if that works better for you. We're in the stage right now where morning dates works best for us. And then work on your communication. Everybody can improve on their communication because you want to get to the point where you can talk things through, not allow resentment to breed and anger to fester and frustrations and all of that, so that you can overcome those challenges that you come across, so that you can get into a groove where you feel like we got each other's backs, like you trust each other as partners, as a co-parent, so that you can have those important things be in line with what you're actually doing, so that you can feel good about how you're living, how you're choosing to spend your time, and so that you can grow closer as a couple and as a family. Okay, so these are the ways that you can help partnership improve and support your marriage once you're parents. And if you're not doing this already, let this be your kick in the butt, your loving kick in the butt to go do it now. Doing this is going to prevent catastrophic fights and allow your fights to be more manageable, to be opportunities for you two to grow as a couple. Take this on. You got this. You can do it. Your marriage deserves this. You deserve this. Your partner deserves this. And if you need help, shoot me a message on Instagram. Let's talk about how I can support you. And that's it for today. I'll catch you back here on the next episode. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.